Shamai, I've got one more little setup job to do to this ukulele before I can give it away to a student. And that is the action is a little bit high on it. In other words, the strings are quite far away from the fretboard. So what I'm going to do is hopefully remove this bit, which is called the saddle, lower it a little bit so it'll make the uke easy to play. So the basics that you're going to need, obviously a ukulele with an action that's a bit too high. I've got this, which is a measuring device for ukuleles, guitars, basses, and it's got lots of different measurements. Okay, so I've already measured this, and at 12th fret, it's over 3 mil. It's about 3.25, and ideally I want it down towards a sort of 2.5 mil. So I need one of these measuring devices. I need a pencil to be able to mark the saddle, and I need some sandpaper. I'm sure there'll be other things that I'm going to need as I go. It is possible to do this job using a Dremel and a vise and all sorts of things, but I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible today. So measuring this at the moment, I think it's between 3.25 and 3.5 mil. Now, don't ask me how you work all of this out. Many videos that I've seen have said, however much you want to take it down, double it. I don't know why. I'm not going to even try and work it out. So if I want to say 0.75 of a mil down, in theory, that should be 1.5 mil that I want to be taking off. But I'm going to do it in small increments because the worst thing I can do is to go too low. It is possible. I've got a nice gadget here which makes undoing strings much easier, but you can do it by hand. It's a little bit time consuming, or you can get something like this, which is a nice cheap device, a tuner, winder, a manual version. What I'm actually hoping to do is to loosen the strings enough to be able to get the saddle out, but without actually removing the strings, because a little bit later on I'm going to be testing. So I want a way of trying to take the saddle in and out without taking the strings off completely. No, it looks like I'm actually going to have to take the strings out. This, the little hand winder I showed you a moment ago, there's a little notch in here, okay? And it's exactly for this job, which is to prise underneath one of these pins to take it off, okay? This uke actually comes with one of these little tools as well, like a little spanner, but in this case, as it's handy, I'm going to use this. Right, I want to keep the strings as close to the uke as possible, so I'm just going to very carefully use a bit of masking tape to tape them down. So I've taken the actual pins out of the bridge at the minute. So there's nothing technically holding the saddle in. I haven't actually tried to remove it yet, but the strings are at least nice and secure. So there shouldn't be any glue or anything holding this in, so wish me luck. Now you could see just how easy that popped out of there then. So it's just a nice slot left at the minute. I want to put it back in the same way. So my first job, I'm just going to put a little pencil mark in on the back end of it so I know which way to slot it back in. Right, so I've marked it. My next job now, I'm going to clear the uke out of the way for a minute so that I can actually measure the saddle. Right, much faffing later, I have got a line drawn across there now. I know you're really not going to be able to see that very well, I don't think. I have checked it as well. There are so many ways of measuring with this, all right? There are measurement rulers literally all over the place at all sorts of different angles. So now this is marked up. The next job I'm going to do is get my sandpaper ready. Right, I've got my sandpaper ready. One of the most important things about this job is making sure you've got a flat surface, all right? You want to keep the bottom of this as flat as possible. I'm not touching the top. Everything I'm going to take off is going to be on the underneath side. And remember, I'm going to do a little bit at a time and then hopefully go back and check it a little bit as well. So I'm trying to keep pressure as evenly on both ends and in the middle. Every so often I'm doing a full circle. It's a bit more awkward to do, but it does just mean that you're definitely keeping it nice and flat on the bottom. Right, that's not far off my pencil line now, so before I take any more off, I'm going to try and pop it back in and see if we've improved the action. putting the strings back on was probably the longest thing then. It's close enough for me to check the action. Let's keep it fingers crossed. So, where are we? Right, 12th fret. We are hoping it's going to be at least 2.75. Right. It's at 3. I'm going to redo, take them off quickly, do a little bit more. So probably where I put the line the first time on the saddle was correct. Right, so I'm at the line that I drew on earlier. In fact, I can barely see any of it. So that disappears in the slot anyway, but I'm just going to make sure now that I've got rid of my little pencil marking on the back, but I know that's the back end when I put it back in now. Does make it easier with one of these. Okay, so the moment of truth. Do I have to do it for a third time? I hope not. Let's have a look. So, 12th fret. I would say somewhere between 2.5 and 2.75 now, so I'm very happy with that. And I run out of frets. So there we go, one saddle lowered, put back in. I have shown you actually, hopefully most of the process. Bit of a pain that I actually had to take the strings off completely. There are some types of bridges that you can sort of raise the strings up, pull them to the side and manage to pull the saddle out. Not in today's case, however, again, I'm quite happy with that job. It was never very high, the action down this end, so I didn't feel I ever needed to adjust the nut. That's what I was just playing it for then, just to make sure I didn't have any fret buzz, which can help, you know, that can sort of hinder you when you've gone a little bit low, but... Don't be frightened to do some of these jobs yourself. If this had gone horribly wrong, and the worst thing that could have happened was that either I'd gone too low, and it is possible to go and put little slithers of wood and plastic underneath, or the absolute worst case, and I'd gone and broken the saddle. It is possible to get replacement saddles, just make sure you know what size uke it is. But generally, it is possible to do some of these jobs yourself. So there we are. I do hope that has helped, and maybe you'll be brave enough to have a go of sorting out the action on your ukulele as well. But as always, if you've got a comment or a question, please feel free, leave it below. Give us a like if you've enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. Thank you for watching.